Welcome to the Evening Gamer. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Guy.
And this is episode 2.
Episode 2. Looking forward to it. We've got a lot to cover off today.
We really do. Exciting episode. And I actually think that's a perfect segue into agenda. Guy, I think you got the agenda for us.
Yes, I do have the agenda for today. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little segment that we're calling Correct Me If I'm Wrong. And after episode 1, we realized we probably butchered a couple of things. And so we're going to correct ourselves. A couple of friends of ours have listened to episode 1 and sort of helped us correct some moments. Then we're going to go into how we got into gaming. So we're sort of moving a little bit away from reviewing a game in this episode. We'll probably get back to it in episode 3. But in this episode, we kind of want to give you just our backstory to how we got into it all.
Yeah, no game reviews today, but certainly still talking about games. In depth as well.
In big depth, yes. And then we're going to, with the topics of today, we both have a topic we've brought to the table. And Taylor's got one of a game that we've both played a lot of. And then I've got one that's a bit of a game, but a bit of a move away as well. And a big prediction for you. I'm going strong.
Today I'm talking all things Apex Legends, because later this week I'll be releasing a full review of Season 20 patch notes.
I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to cover off what is a topic that whenever you mention it, you often get a cacophony of people calling you a nerd, but I'm going to drop it, and it's Warhammer 40k.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate there. I'm going to have a lot of questions about that because I don't know a lot about it. So yeah, let's jump on in. We've got correct me if I'm wrong, and I certainly have a few corrections of my own.
I want you to do yours first because I haven't told you what mine is, and I think you're going to sort of slap your head with your forehead when I tell you.
Looking forward to that. But yeah, I definitely mispronounced Ghost of Tsushima.
I'm pretty sure you just did it again.
Oh, fuck. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. What's it?
I'm not even going to try.
I've got it sitting in front of me. Ghost of Tsushima.
I think you're on the money.
That's got to be close to it, right?
TS. Yeah, it's a tough pronunciation, but it was a hell of a game.
There's an entire gaming community and a huge group of developers right now shaking their heads. If they're listening, which they're probably not.
Probably not.
Because I've just done one of the biggest games of 2023. Huge injustice.
You know what they say? Any sort of popularity is good popularity. Press is good press.
That's true. Even if we're talking about it in the wrong light. But yeah, perfect.
So my
and the other thing is I said Lies of Pi. Listening back to season 1, I said Lies of Pi, which I think is a fucking movie. I meant Lies of P, which is the Pinocchio spin-off, the Souls game, which is what I was actually talking about. I mentioned it a few times in episode 1, but yeah, just cocked that up because episode 1 was raw and unedited.
It was. And like, I reckon we got to give ourselves props because we did that in one go. You know, there was no cutting on that one. Yeah.
We did.
And I kind of want to stick to that where see if we can roll through the episode without needing to stop. So if we do say things wrong, then yeah, we'll correct it in the next episode and have a laugh.
Love it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Here to stay. Where are we going next?
Well, so I've got to do my correction. Now, the thing I pulled out of the hat was favorite GTA game. And I rolled through each of them apart from San Andreas.
Yes.
We fucking skipped San Andreas.
We did, but I think because the question was, I think we navigated that question in terms of where did this franchise start, what made it what it is today.
But geez,
you're right, we missed one of the biggest titles.
You know, shame on me.
Shame on me as well.
And I spent a lot of time playing that game. The trials and tribulations of what is it, CJ? You know, and his friends, Big Smoke. Geez, what a game! The jetpack. You know, the thing that I really loved about that game was it was, I reckon, the first game that was not just one city. You know, and you had to travel and drive to the next city, the planes, all the rest of it. You know, I think going back to what that question was and Rockstar and what they've done, you know, that was a huge game. But GTA 5 is still definitely my pick for just how revolutionary it was.
It was CJ. I was about to say I think we have a corrections for next week, but you're bang on, mate. It was
Nailed it.
In San Andreas. I'm looking at his face on my laptop right now.
I love that game. Like
fucking
modding up your car and everything. The nostalgia. Jeez.
Oh, shit. Here we go again. That's just what I remember from that game. So good. All right.
So you were going into how we got into gaming, and I want you to go first on this one.
Yeah. I suppose the reason for doing this is to kind of show you, dear listener, that we're not just... I know that we said this is a podcast for everyone, and it certainly is, bumper jumpers to sweats, but we certainly want to, you know, let you know that we're across the community. We're not just spitting, you know, bullshit here. We know what we're talking about.
Maybe a little bit.
There's definitely a lot of shit talk. There's no doubt. But mate, my gaming journey is a long one. I played Game Boy Pockets when I was a kid. So I've quite a long list of things that I've done. But yeah, in terms of gaming as we know it today, on a console, on a gaming monitor, really started for me back on PS2. I remember playing this game called Gauntlet Dark Legacy. That's probably the first taste of co-op that I got. From then, you know, we're talking post 2010, went on to the Xbox 360, which was a huge launch. I feel like that's when the gaming community really exploded. Like, a lot of people were like, oh, I'm going to get this. Online gaming was just becoming the thing it was. Like, multiplayer was shooting for the skies. It was getting huge. And I found myself playing competitively in Modern Warfare 2. For Search and Destroy. I was actually in a clan called Repulse.
There you go.
So that's how sweaty I go back in terms of being a sweaty teenager in a room playing Search and Destroy on mic with randoms around Australia in a competition. Yeah, but I also have experience in RPGs, so role-playing games, and I also even played the launch of Minecraft on M&K.
Wow. There you go.
So, you know, when it comes to FPS, first-person shooters, role-play games, even, you know, shooter-looter or fucking what's the category you put Minecraft in? It's a block builder, essentially. But yeah, I'm well across it from Fortnite. I was a huge COD guy, as I've just told you. So Minecraft, and yeah, a few of the biggest games that stick out for me are things like Halo 1, 2, 3, and then the launch of 4. Even played ODST and all those types of things. So there are a few memorable games from my past, but yeah, I've been at this for a while, mate, which is why I decided to talk about it on a mic with you.
Yes, exactly. One question I got for you. So what's your relationship like with gaming at the minute? Like, how much time are you spending gaming? You know, what are you playing on?
Yeah, it's a good question. Gaming's a hobby for me that has shone through and overtaken a lot of other hobbies, especially as you get older and you start work and you're like, what am I going to fucking spend my time doing?
Yeah, 100%.
And when I have a bit of time after work or even sometimes on lunch breaks, I hope none of my bosses ever listen to this, but I'll definitely jump on and I'll play whatever game I'm playing. I'm a very ear to the floor gamer. Hugely ear to the floor gamer. Like, as I said, I played the launch of Minecraft, so I'll give most titles a whack. That's kind of my relationship with it. I'll download something and I'll give it a couple of hours before I really decide if it's a game for me. And, you know, through that, I have a huge plethora of games I've played. Yeah,
I think we differ in a little bit like that, with you sort of giving a game a chance, whereas for me, it's like, I'll only play the game if I've heard good things, if it, you know, ticks a lot of my boxes, you know, watch the trailer, watch some gameplay, and then I'll buy in or, you know, put my money where my mouth is. But even then, when I start playing, if I don't like it, I'm out. Yeah. I'm not wasting my time on it.
You're like that in everything in life.
Yeah, though. I am a bit. I know.
Trying to get you to watch a pilot of a TV show sometimes is fucking painful. I remember recommending Hannibal to you 8 times, and I don't think you've watched it yet.
I watched a little bit of it.
There you go. You threw it out the bath. You threw the baby out the bathwater on that one. Fuck it, after 30 minutes.
I'm not sure if we should talk about babies with Hannibal.
That's not bad though. It means everything you've played is probably quality and sits within your. Like aligns with what you like. Which is
100%. I'm a firm believer in I don't waste time with anything that isn't quality. So my foray into the gaming world was all the way back in 1998, and my dad bought a gaming PC magazine, and in it came a demo for Half-Life 1. He put it on his computer, tried to give it a go, could not make heads or tails of it, gave it to my older brother and was like, have a play of this. So as, 7, 8 at the time, I watched over my brother's shoulder as he played that game. The head crabs, the zombies, the major bosses. It gave me nightmares, you know, and pretty much probably scarred young me.
Yeah, I think every younger brother has those painful thoughts of having to wait for the controller to be passed to you as well.
I didn't even want it, man. I was just watching him play it on the computer over his shoulder on his laptop, his Toshiba laptop. I loved it. It was great watching.
Give me a go.
Eventually I did play it, and I mean, you know, it is a game of all time. Everyone's waiting for Half-Life 3, you know, and then I sort of dipped my toe into StarCraft, Age of Empires. And a game I'll chat about a little bit later when I get to my topic is Dawn of War 1, which was sort of around that time, which I played a little bit of. But yeah, so my relationship with gaming is similar to T, hence why we call it the evening gamer, is just in the evening, sort of an hour or two here or there. I never sort of sacrifice sort of real life to prioritize gaming, you know, so on a weekend I might play it a little bit. So it's why it's so important to me to only play the best. You know, and I won't 100% a game unless it is literally the best.
What's the saying these days in the gaming community? Touch grass.
Have
you ever heard that?
No, what is that?
Sometimes when I'm playing Apex and your wiper squad, someone will message me like, touch grass, idiot. And you're like, okay. Oh. So I guess what I'm trying to say is we're both...
get outside, son.
We're both big gamers, but we still have a ongoing relationship with grass, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, agreed. You know, I always have a game on the go. And I think it's just it's a hobby. It's a fun hobby for us.
Absolutely, I fully agree. Well, should we pivot and get into today's games?
Yeah, mate. I'm really excited to hear you talk about Apex.
Yeah, definitely. It's been part of our gaming repertoire, a word that you love to say for quite some time.
Not sure if I use it correctly.
And as I said, I'm really just going to cover off Apex Legends because, as I said, Season 20 is coming out. I'll do patch notes in a separate episode for 5 or 10 minutes later this week. But for now, everything Apex. So Apex Legends, it's a game created by Respawn. Now, Respawn were a couple of guys that were part of EA, branched out, almost franchised their own company to start making their games, and they actually came out with Titanfall, which was one of their first titles. Now, we're not talking about that today, but that's essentially the caliber of gaming developers that came out with this Battle Royale. Dropped in February 2019. Now, Apex Legends is a Battle Royale at heart, but it's always been about strategy. And it's arguably the biggest point of difference that Apex has over the Battle Royale market at the moment. At the heart of Apex Legends is still a Battle Royale consisting of trios, where 3 players choose from 25 different legends without overlapping each other. And as I said, they really changed up how Battle Royales did everything because this multiplayer game relies heavily on teamwork. What we know about Battle Royales is that it's kind of changed I'm playing Fortnite, let's drop in and not really know where we're at or what we're doing. So they've changed that a lot, really pivoted towards having a very heavy teamwork-based Battle Royale. So a little bit about the structure of the game. Each legend falls within a specific class. They consist of Assault, Controller, Support, Recon, or Skirmisher, offering different tactical and ultimate abilities to their teammates, which they can call on in-game. For me, this game did this perfectly. And another thing they did fantastically was actually integrate an incredible ping system, which allowed people to communicate effectively in the game without being in a party, which was, again, another huge point of difference. It really kind of tackles that. When I play with random players, they just run off, they die, I'm by myself kind of thing. How they did this were a few ways. They brought in a jump master system, which is where you're kind of tied to other members in your team when dropping into a match. They also integrated a resurrection respawn system, which allows down players to re-enter the game after death, which was a huge selling point to me. Like playing Fortnite and I get fucking sniped from 100 yards out and then I'm just killed while down and spectating the rest of my friends that are playing the game. It was kind of like that was a huge plus walking into Apex Legends. It's like you can actually be, after death, you can come back into this game. You're reintegrated into this game. It's just really great.
And it like forces that your teammates to then tactically have to go find the res point to get you in and changing the narrative of the game they're playing, which is ingenious.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. It's still stressful trying to, res your teammates, but it's possible. And that's what adds to the moment of this game as opposed to or the caliber of this game rather, as opposed to your teammates running off just to survive and trying to win the game. Often they'll pivot to trying to get your death box and actually take you to a respawn point and get you back in the game. So often if you get downed, your team will probably go out as a squad shortly after because they're desperately trying to get you back into the game because it relies so heavily on teamwork.
Oh yeah, I mean, a 3v2, 3v1. We all had clips where you nail one of those situations where you're the one, and you're absolutely buzzing with yourself and pulling that off. I think that game as compared to the sort of the Fortnite, Call of Duty tactics, was everything, and I think they really broke ground on a lot of really good ideas.
Definitely. And Season 20 is getting a fresh look. So whether you're a seasoned Apex player or you're brand new to it right now, listening, going, maybe I'll give that a go, in the next week or so is the perfect time to re-download this game if you haven't played it in a while, or if you've never given it a go, to jump on in and give it a go. Because I've recommended Apex Legends to 4 people, and every single one of them still play to this day. And sometimes it's the only game they actually play.
Who recommended it to you?
Oh, that was you, mate. Oh, no, hang on. That wasn't a recommendation. That was either the floor because you heard it was dropping and you were like,
we played it together for the first time, I'm pretty sure. I think we jumped in together it was me and you played it a little bit, and then I think your bro got into it and the 3 of us ran a trio for years. For a good 2 years, Apex took up our gaming lives. And I didn't play a lot else at the time and really enjoyed it. But I think I dropped out, season, I don't know what it was, Horizon was not long into the game. and just, I don't know, it
Yeah.
it lost its appeal.
I think that was season 7 and season 8. Well, I want to get into the grievances about it and the current state of the game as well. I do want to unpack that because I think we're going to have a lot of things to say that are going to resonate with current players. But just a little bit more, again, coming back to if you're a new player thinking about this, it's a perfect time to get in because it's getting a fresh look. Now, currently there are 4 maps in Apex. I know a lot of the other BRs have 1. So you kind of get a lot of variety with this game. There's a wide variety of game modes and gun progression as well. So it's very heavily goal orientated. They also do things like team deathmatch are now a big part of the franchise. And they also have spin-offs of the old COD domination and capture the flag. So it's not just the BR point of this either. There's a lot of progression to be had outside of the kind of die, get back in the lobby, rinse and go again. So there's a lot of flexibility in the Apex community at the minute.
Fair. So let's get into the grievances.
Well,
do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
I want you to go first because I've played Apex. Look, there's only a few seasons here and there that I didn't pick it up that much.
Yeah.
Because I was playing other games or other things were taking up my time. But I certainly have my own grievances. But I want to start off with a question for you is why did you put it down and why has it not kind of
come back into the fold?
Yeah, like convinced you to come back.
Yeah, so there's 2 reasons for that. So the first one is it kind of got a little bit whack with all the numerous legends and how hard the grind was at times. Like I felt like it was taking up sort of all my gaming time and there was other games that I wanted to devote time to that I wanted to play. And then the other element about it was just it's so hard to have 3 mates with the same free time at the same time be able to play that game. And I don't want to play it with a thumb or a random third who, if you get downed, is abusing the shit out of you. That is, to me, not enjoyment, and it kind of ruined the element of it. So if it was sort of me, you and your bro running it, sure, I'll switch it back on and I'll have a play. But he's fucking currently on a 1.5 year long trip, so we haven't seen him for a while.
And yeah, it kind of comes back to, like, do you think that having a battle royale that is so heavily centered around communication and around teamwork in, like a case of yours where it's like, if I can't keep up, I can't play it? Do you reckon that's hurt them more than it's helped this franchise? Is that why sometimes we say Apex is just clinging to life at the moment? Because maybe a lot of the gaming community would resonate with you there. I can't play this game solo because I don't have... Yeah. I haven't spent enough time to have the skills to carry myself. And if my mates aren't on, then I fucking...
Yeah, it's notorious for having a really steep learning curve. It's a tough game. You've got to be very switched on and sort of constantly alert. And I, for that reason, is why we probably played it for as long as we did, because to me, it was the first game that I'd ever played where actually talking and conversing with your mates tactically mattered. Every game I've ever played before, even fucking Halo, like co-op back in the day, sure, it was like you're both running cover and stuff like that, but never to the point where it's like, we've got to fucking talk about this. Like, you got to be communicating, and if your communication is off, or you've got a third who isn't even talking, then your enemy have a leg up on you, and you're done.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as well is it's kind of like a vicious cycle at the moment where if a lot of gamers feel how you feel and they're not playing it, it kind of dwindles even more, because then things like matchmaking, which I think is something that Apex has struggled with a lot and has never fully gotten it right, become worse and worse because there's not as many players playing, so you either have to play well above your skill level or... I've never played below my skill level. I'm just dripping sweat every time I jump on that fucking game. But yeah, it's a game that needs a very large player base for it to be enjoyable.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's why they track popularity, how many concurrent players are playing a game. I'd be very curious to know if Apex is in the top 3, in the top 10 at the moment. My feeling is it's dropped off a little bit, and probably hence why they're doing such a revolutionary change with this next season.
Definitely. And the one thing I think that Apex could learn from, especially COD, what is that battle? What is the COD battle royale called?
Jeez.
For some reason, I can't get Modern Warfare out of my head, but that's obviously not what it's called. Fuck it, we'll come
Warzone.
back. Warzone, thank you. I don't know
hell.
how that escaped me for a moment. I haven't played Warzone in a while. But I think something Apex could learn from Warzone is that everyone drops in with a gun. In Apex, you fucking don't. And a grievance I've had with Apex for almost the entirety of this game being playable is the RNG, which is a abbreviation for random number generator, but a typical gaming term to say that the game isn't giving me the luck that I need to actually be competitive when I drop into a game. It's like you hit a building and there's just nothing there, and the building over that another team landed in has all the fucking
There's
top
that
shit.
famous clip of that person dropping and all they're finding is attachments and med kits and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
It was just like, how many times?
And it's crazy. Their RNG thing doesn't look after you a lot of the time when you jump in. And it's like, that team wasn't better than me. I just didn't have a fighting chance with a fucking hand grenade. Like,
I hear what you're saying, and there's no doubt that's a fair grievance. I think the flip side of that, if I play devil's advocate on it, is I love the fact that because of the RNG, you have to be good at all the guns. And all the guns are such a variety, so different to you pick up from, a triple take versus, I'm struggling with the names, a devotion.
Yeah.
Like how you run those guns is so different. How you play the game, whether you're running in hot or pulling back, I think that actually is a plus in its corner, but it can be infuriating, and you're back in the lobby real fucking quick if all you're getting is attachments.
Again, great game. Maybe that's something that's worked against them, that Respawn kind of said, you want to get good at this? If you want to play within your own skill level and it's kind of dog shit and whatever, fine. But if you want to get good at this, you need to put in the time. And that's why they brought in the firing range. I think it's the only BR that has a firing range, or at least they invented it, where you can actually just spend time by yourself shooting targets.
We played that game before they had the firing range. And I remember season 0, whatever the fuck it was, when we dropped in there, literally looking at the ground going, why is this extended mag not attaching to my fucking gun?
Yeah, and it's a different shape. You
just get falconed while you're there.
Actually crazy how much extra gaming you do in that game than just run around and shoot people and kill people.
Yeah, there was minimal tutorial.
Oh
man, it was that game early doors was some of my fondest memories of gaming, to be fair.
Yeah, this game needs gamers for it to be good, and I'm not gonna deviate from that opinion. Also, one thing that do you know much about the reputation of EA?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're monetizing the shit out of stuff, and they fork out the same old
Cash
game.
Grab, fucking central. And Respawn is a subsidiary of EA.
Yeah, right. There you go.
And you can see that toxic part of EA come into this game more and more, especially when it grew in popularity from seasons 8 to 14, where it was and they started making billions, and they didn't just rest on their laurels. They fucking kept going, which was spend money, here's new skins, get heirlooms to get different equipment. And it did really become a bit of a piss take. Like there are some seasons where it's like, hey, if you want this thing, it's $200. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no. I know it's a free to play BR, but I've certainly spent more than my money's worth on playing a free game, just because sometimes there are paywalls.
Yeah, no, for sure. And not to get political, but geez, the sort of that kind of behavior, when you've got these young kids who sort of got daddy's credit card, mummy's credit card, and they just whack it down and buy all these bloody fucking skins, which are what tokenized, you don't own it, it'll disappear. It's dodgy as fuck.
Yeah, and I think speaking as a gamer to gamers like good games. We don't like good business models.
Yeah.
And it's a very successful business model, don't get me wrong. They've done incredible work with it, but I think at some point you need to remember that most people are evening gamers that are playing this, and they don't want to drop a pretty penny on fucking looking the part to play it.
Yeah. I mean, we're not all fucking streamers, and it's not our full-time jobs, and with the money that they spend on these fucking skins, why don't you make the game better?
100%. And I can't actually sit here and not say that I haven't tweeted them.
Have they responded?
Oh, no. Oh, I got this one guy responding who was like part of their support team once. Who was like, come on, mate, don't come at me with that. I was like, if you're going to ask me for a couple of 50 stacks to play the game, I'm going to come back here with some fucking notes,
keyboard warrior, you.
I didn't keyboard warrior it, but I remember this one time there was an LTM, a limited time mode, and they allowed you to accrue in-game currency. And then when the LTM finished, the limited time mode finished, they took that currency away and didn't convert it into anything else in game. They were just like, all the hours that you put into this LTM, go fuck yourself. And it's like, come on, man. Like, you're 5 years down the line. These gamers have funded your $1 billion empire, Respawn. Why don't you just give them 2,000 fucking dill points so they can buy a couple of skins? Like, what are you doing?
I love the idea of you go to Bali and you come back with all this currency and you can't do shit with it. That's basically what they've done to you.
Yeah, and I don't know. For me, it's like I've had a shit ton of fun in this game. I know that we're shitting on it right now. Like every time I'm done with Apex, I pick it back up. And that's why I still say right now, if you haven't tried it out, try it out. And especially if you've got a couple of mates that are into it as well, you'll love it.
Yeah, 100%. And their core gunplay is just, it is. I still feel it's the best. I mean, not that I've ever given Warzone much time, but like it just feels like the drop shots and the speed in Warzone, the hacking. I feel like they're a bit worse on hacking, whereas
on MK,
Apex is, it was always tight. It was always really good gunplay, and you sort of really felt you had to earn your kills.
Yeah, and it is a laugh, but again, that's what I'm saying is Season 20, there's a fresh new look. I think it's really going to change the meta of the game, and it's going to go back to its teamwork, strategy, meta kind of feel, flow, and look. So I think that over the next week is a good time to download this game and just give it a go, even if it's just for pleasing me, so I can get a couple of fucking games on the Sydney server for once.
You can actually fight some people. Yeah. So do you think this season's going to put it back on top or back on the map?
Oh, I think it's hard to say back on top. Like, I mean, it's difficult to know. BR's for some reason just stay around, which is crazy to me. You expect these games to run their natural curve and then kind of die, but they don't. Like we've still got the PUBGs.
I'm amazed it's stuck around as long as it has.
We've still got the COD Warzone that's still kicking. I don't know if it's going to put it back on top.
Yeah.
But I think that from what I've read of the patch notes, and again, I'll cover it later on, but there's a lot of changes that for me are going to make this a lot better. Hopefully bring a lot of players that put this down after Season 12 back to the game, and I just want it to get back to where it was, and maybe it doesn't happen, but at least they have a commitment, aside from trying to rob you. They have a commitment to actually taking it back to a very enjoyable playing game.
Fair assessment. And I think we should give a disclaimer here. If T is recommending people to jump back on this game, we haven't taken any money from EA. Would we? Maybe.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is how quickly would my vanity eat my own words?
I know. Let's try. See how long we can last of being like, this is our opinion and we're never taking money of a
Episode
recommendation.
3, I'm just giving a scripted, written fucking announcement, like public service announcement of what I have to say.
We're going to turn into IGN or whatever and go like, yeah, for $10,000, this is a 10 out of 10 game.
We're in court for defamation. Obviously, we don't have... Obviously, that's... Obviously, we're pumping up our
How much
own
is our
tires
reputation
here.
worth, Taylor?
We're pumping up our own tires here, but... Yeah, Season 20 is coming out. I'll cover the patch notes, but just wanted to get across what it kind of is for new players if you don't know anything about it, and hopefully a couple of those grievances that we just said resonate with you, and I think Season 20 is going to solve a lot of them.
Done. Should we move to my topic?
Yeah, let's do it, because I know your topic's quite deep today, and I've got some questions.
It's a little bit. And
so, you said you've got a potential prediction at the end of this episode.
I do have a prediction. I'm going to save it to the end. I think some people might sort of know where I'm heading with this. So Warhammer 40k, everybody's kind of got at least some idea of what this is, and what it is. So, created by Games Workshop, 1987, been around a long, long time. Everybody's got one of those Games Workshops, stores near them. You always look in and go, look at those nerds playing with the little miniature thingies.
Is Warhammer the one where you can also paint the figurines?
Oh yeah,
stuff?
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah. One of my old roommates was super into this. So
yeah,
I think it's got a bit of a cult following.
Oh, I mean, it is a huge cult following. Like it is, I know there's probably a few people, if they're listening to this and me calling them nerds, are just going like, "How dare you?" But it is what it is. So tabletop miniature war game. I got into it via my brother. I sort of ran Space Wolves, did a bit of Necrons. And sort of I remember I killed a plant by pouring out some water once, and my parents have never forgiven me. But yeah, so Warhammer 40k, been around a long time. And so one of the early games, 2004, Dawn of War 1. Now, I showed Taylor the trailer for that game, and I think it still holds up to this day, which is fantastic. And it was a really good game. It's a fantastic game. Recently, an article came out by, what was it? It was sort of, I don't know, some magazine, PC Gamer magazine, ranked all the Warhammer games. There's 48 entries of Warhammer 40k lore video games. Dawn of War 1 was number 1 on the list. And it had 2 DLCs, Winter Assault, Soulstorm,
wow.
Sort of real-time strategy. This was a natural progression for me of sort of Age of Empires, and StarCraft kind of thing. And it was a great game. A few years later, Dawn of War 2 came out, 2009, same company. Switched up to a bit of a squad, kind of top-down, like not as much sort of base building. And that was number 6, I think, on their list. of these sort of Warhammer 40k games. And then a few years after that, 2017, Dawn of War 3 came out, and that was 41 on the list. So it really dropped off the pale.
Yeah.
And it sort of attempted to bridge the divide between the first two games and kind of just got left in no man's land.
Do you think that speaks to the quality of the games or just the competitive nature of gaming at that time? Like, if you think about these massive companies that came out and started releasing games like, like the Rockstars, we're always mentioning that company, but they had all these, you got to pick your games as an evening gamer.
You do. But I think there's there's enough people out there who are sort of interested in these things that they'll give them a go, and like these things spread like wildfire. Like I remember when Elden Ring came out, I was pretty disinterested. I hadn't played any of the Dark Souls or whatever, and you and Kyle were chatting so much about it. I felt obligated, and so some of these games, they start on the fringe of what is pop culture, and then through sheer word of mouth and quality, they enter sort of mainstream.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Warhammer 3 there.
Yes. So then there was another game that was number 3 on their list called Space Marine, and that came out in 2011, which was sort of very Gears of War-esque. I really enjoyed playing it back then. And the reason why I'm chatting about it is this year, Space Marine 2 is coming out. I showed Taylor the trailer for that as a tongue twister.
You did. We'll put that in the show notes to the link to that trailer because it looks pretty polished.
It looks tight.
And you know what I like about it is it looks like it has a really good cinematic experience, which I think is becoming a huge part of gaming.
Oh, man. It looks fantastic. And sort of you're playing as a space marine, you've got your chainsaw, and you're just ripping these aliens apart, and there's blood and guts. It's a very dark universe. But one that's, sort of rife to be mined for stories and has been for years. But sort of heading towards this prediction. So many people probably know that Henry Cavill is a big Warhammer nerd. He loves it. He's talked about it a lot. He has recently signed with Amazon to do a television show, possibly 2, possibly a movie. Now, Henry Cavill has... I've butchered that. We'll fix that up in the next
I'm not
one.
his biggest fan, by the way. So that is not a selling point.
I am. So he did Witcher 3, and I think he pretty much not lost the job or left the job purely because he hated the fact of how they didn't really stick to the books, and they kind of went off on their own kind of tangent, and that annoyed him a lot. So he, as a big Warhammer 40k guy, is now going to be exec producing on this TV show and movie, fully invested into it. Amazon's got a lot of money behind them. They did the sort of that Lord of the Rings sort of thing, and I think they're looking for their Game of Thrones. They're looking for their thing that they can hang their hat on. And my prediction is, if this TV show lands, we're going to start hearing a hell of a lot more about Warhammer, and it is going to start entering full mainstream. Everybody's going to know about this thing.
Wow, that's a big prediction, especially considering what's on the menu for 2024 and 2025.
So I'm talking, this. I know it's the evening gamer, and a lot of games have sort of been in this universe, and it's sort of why I think it's of a similar topic. But this will land and sort of make its mark on sort of society and pop culture. If the show's good, I'll give that caveat. I'm not hanging my hat on it, but if with the money behind it and a guy who's fully invested in it, it's his heart project. His soul's on this, then I think it will be fantastic, and we'll be hearing a lot more about this sort of gaming thing.
Nice. I reckon we stop and listen back.
Yeah, sure.
The reason being is because I think Alrighty, questions from a hat.
Yeah, one each. Here we go. Here is yours.
Yeah, I like that. One each.
One each.
Okay.
Keep it nice and tight.
Let's see what we got here. Favorite protagonist?
What are you thinking?
Oh, shit.
Right on the spot.
This is a great question. And I think I actually have. I think it's the first one that came to mind, so I'm just going to run with it. Link from Zelda.
There you go. Yeah.
The reason being is that this, especially the franchise of The Legend of Zelda, has one of the most powerful protagonists that's never said a fucking word.
True.
He has never said a word apart from "hi" when he hits his fucking sword. That's all you hear from him.
Hell of an imitation.
That's all you hear from him. Those anime kind of sounds. But it's something that goes back. I mean, Ocarina of Time, when did that come out? 98. Like I think it was still in circa 2000. So I'm gonna have to say Link because it's a character that you know so deeply, so well. You know his story. He's a child of the forest. He's overcome all these different bosses. He's had an ongoing, very toxic relationship with Ganondorf for a couple of decades now, and he's never said a word.
You know what my beef with Link is?
Go on.
Where's the fucking character development? This guy has gone through hell and back, and he's still a little kid with a green little hat.
He's still simping over Zelda. He hasn't walked away.
Come on, bro.
Actually, to be fair, he's the swordsman, so he's kind of like the Queen's Guard, so he can't just up and leave. He might get hanged. But, I mean, there's tons of character development. In Ocarina of Time, he goes from being a child to a teenager and he gets a Master Sword. To me, that's character development. We spoke about this in the last episode, that sometimes the NPCs that they come into contact with are a huge part of their character development.
Fair.
The only thing that I'll agree with is that in Zelda games, you typically don't get like choose A or B. Choose this path or the next path. Is Nintendo as a whole and Game Freak and whoever was behind the Link Zelda series has kept it very one way, which is I'll agree with you there, but he's my favorite protagonist.
I want to see Nintendo do a God of War to Link where he basically turns up some grizzled, bearded, tatted up dude.
I mean, in the latest, he's got a sleeve, so they're kind of going that way.
I'll take that. Okay, so my favorite protagonist, I'm going to go with Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect trilogy.
Nice. I'm familiar. I actually am, yeah.
Yeah, I've tried really hard to persuade a few people to get into that game because the Legendary Edition came out, and I think they're going to bring it back and do a Mass Effect 4. I know Andromeda was pretty shit, so I'm hoping to see a return of our favorite Commander Shepard? Shepard? N7, here we go, yeah.
Nice one. Love that. All right, here's yours, drawing from the hat now.
All right. Look at the rustle of paper. Biggest disappointment of 2023. Biggest disappointment of 2023. Goodness me. I'm trying to think of the games that came out last year that I really pied off. It's got to be Diablo 4. Has to be. There is no other game that comes to mind as the biggest disappointment than Diablo 4.
Yeah, and I kind of see what you mean because that had a huge launch, a lot of noise around it, and I haven't heard a word of it since.
If you're buying billboards on the sides of buses and no one's now playing that game, that's a flop.
In fact, you even turned to me at one point. I was like, I'm thinking of giving that a crack, and you're like, don't.
Yeah, I know. I played Diablo 2 back in the day, another favorite memory of mine, getting into that playing on PC, and this game came out, hyped for it. I even did Diablo 3 a few years back in the day. I sort of went back and played it. I didn't play it on launch, but Diablo 4, I was hyped for it. It looked like it was back to its greatest sort of Diablo 2 nostalgia, and fuck me, it was... I played it through once, never touched it again. I didn't have a desire to go back and play different characters. There was the co-op. I didn't really want to play it with a mate. It's like they recreated it, but still didn't nail it, which is wild. Like, I think where it fell down is it didn't follow the rest of the gaming industry in RNG. The map was locked. You went everywhere. You did everything. You beat all the bosses. And the only thing after that was to do it fucking again. Yeah,
like no autonomy to the gamer. Like, do you think as well that those bird's eye view games are going to just fall out completely now?
I have a feeling that, RNG, I said it in the last episode, is a bit of a fucking hack. If your game isn't utilizing that as a feature in your game, then you are one and done.
If DLC came out, would you play it? Yes or no?
I mean, they're doing seasons, and I don't have an interest. For me, there's a constant ranking in my brain of the games I want to play, and that one is not even in the conversation.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's the biggest, I think, statement that a gamer can make. It's like, if the DLC comes out, I'm going to have to be hugely persuaded. Says that the base game was not where it needed to be.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's no Cyberpunk with the Phantom, whatever the hell the DLC was on that one that was worth picking back up. But yeah, just Diablo 4, biggest disappointment 2023, no doubt.
I hear you. Mine, Starfield, yeah. 100%. Not because it was a shit game. I played it and I thought, this is fun, sure. But then I was like, No Man's Sky did this better.
Yeah.
It just so much better. And you were trapped in certain ways the game wanted you to do things where it's like they didn't spend time. And like how annoying was it in Starfield? You'd just fly past a random planet and inherit all of its missions. You know, I can't even find what fucking missions I'm doing the missions to. For me, I think that game had huge potential. They dropped the ball on things like creating a base and crafting your own home planet and stuff like that. That No Man's Sky for me is doing better, continuously doing much better, and I would choose No Man's Sky over that game every day of the week. Huge disappointment.
Not that I want to give too big predictions in this, but I reckon Starfield is going to have a cyberpunk level revival and come back into the fold and be worth picking up again. And that was part of the reason I put it down, was that I want them to perfect it before I devote any more time to it.
I hear you, and it's something that if they dangled the carrot in front of me and was like, hey, try this,
You'd be tempted.
I'll try it.
Yeah.
But still, doesn't take away from the fact that it was a game I played for maybe 20 hours.
Yeah.
And then I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, I mean, compared to, their other Fallout and, what's the other? Skyrim,
Yeah.
they're attempting to go into the, sci-fi kind of industry niche or, genre. Yeah, it had its moments, but yeah, fair. Good call.
Agreed. Yeah, perfect summation. Well, there you have it, gamers.
That's episode 2.
That's episode 2, and I think next week we'll get back to a little bit more of here's this game, here's a review, here's the rating, that loose rating system that we've invented.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a few games in mind. I'm keen for it.
All right, well, don't be an NPC.
And keep leveling up.
See you next time.